Today to present this class on crime prevention through environmental design. So from this point forward, you guys will hear me refer to this as CPTED. So we're going to go through there. There's about 30 to 40 minutes of slides to go through today. We're going to be exploring all the different areas of how crime prevention through environmental design is going to help you and assist you at your school. So with that, we'll get going and rolling here with the first slide. And the first one we got here is, how does the environmental design prevent crime? So the CPTED strategies aim to reduce victimization and deter offender decisions that precede unwanted acts and build a sense of community among inhabitants so they can gain territorial control of areas to reduce the unwanted behavior. So the whole thing we're going to go through today is, how can we add environmental design to our schools to help us prevent the crime. So we're going to go through several steps of these, and here's a quick one just explaining how environmental design is going to help you.
It's on the wrong HDMI.
Green lots can also help reduce that unwanted activity, and we'll go more along in the training on what green lots are. Okay, how about design? How does the environmental design going to help the students? Okay, so what's one of our main goals when we're doing this is to provide a safer and better learning environment for students. So on this approach, we're going to utilize the situational prevention strategies that focus on analyzing specific opportunities for those unwanted behaviors and addressing them through thoughtful designs and interventions of our environmental design, how we do it. So we're going to take time today. We're going to explore this concept. We're going to go in detail of the training and how to build this and how to make this work. We're going to also discuss the next slide, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but the first slide, is going to be first generation CPTED. And after we complete that part, then we're going to go into second generation CPTED, and we're going to explore that part of it. Here's one that kind of caught me off guard when I was doing these study on this and creating this training. There's several things that really caught me off guard that just showed me that, man, I had a totally different line of sight that wasn't probably the best line of sight for this. But doing this and creating this training really helped, develop and train me and coach me on what environmental design is actually looking for. And here's one of the ones that threw me off is, I've always thought, when I worked for the schools, I've always thought schools operate between 8 and 4. That's their hours. That's what they work. Actually, schools are a 24-hour community center. And that's where your community members and your stakeholders, it's just, it's interesting to think how, our schools are almost used and occupied 24 hours a day. When you start thinking about your custodians, after school events, start putting those all together, you start realizing, man, that the school's getting used regularly. And this is going to help with community engagement also. You're going to help with the volunteers, and it's going to be creating safe places by letting people know, hey, this building is being used 24 hours a day. All right, so here it is. This is how our first generation CPTED is going to lay out. We're going to start out with natural surveillance today. We're going to move on to directives, central access control, territorial reinforcement, social management, and then maintenance. So we're going to go through each one of these, through each slide. We're going to discuss that. And then after that, we'll move into second generation. So going into the first generation, natural surveillance. That's our first one. So with natural surveillance, most of us know, most of us, I'd say 99.5% of your community members, your students, your staff, your parents, everybody else, they're just going to follow the rules naturally. Most of us do. Most of us follow the cues that guide us from one place to the next. When I see a sidewalk, I walk on the sidewalk. And when I see no trespassing sign, I know that means don't go past that part. They don't want me in there. If I see a parking prohibited sign, I'll go find another parking spot, because obviously I don't need to be parking. There's a reason why they don't want me parking there. And respecting barriers. When we walk up to buildings, schools, whatever, when we see barriers, we respect them. We see walls, we see, we come to a locked door, we come to a fence that designs us to keep us out of a particular space. We follow those. But that 0.5% that doesn't, when they don't follow it, when you have your CPTED laid out naturally like this, they're going to stick out when they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. Okay, so if you ignore those rules, you're going to stick out, and you've broken that silent agreement. That say, I don't belong here. So the second they stepped out of that area, you can tell, hey, they don't belong here. Something's wrong. And it's more than just stepping off the mark path, lingering in a no parking zone or hopping over a fence. Signage. So how some of the things that we can use on natural surveillance is going to help us here? Well, signage is a big one, guys. If you got the signs out, signs usually work. And if you don't have your signage out, you're actually inviting problems to have to take care of. And part of that is if I have my signage up, it should help reduce negative interactions with people. If I don't have signs up, I'm going to have more negative interaction with the community partners of, well, how am I supposed to, I'm not supposed to be here. Or there's nothing here telling me I'm not supposed to be here. But when you have the signage up properly, that conversation changes. It goes from, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be here, to, hey, I'm sorry, I see you're in there, you shouldn't be. And we got several signs up showing you where you need to be. Do you need help finding a place? And when you ask that question, do you need help needing to know where you go? They're going to tell you real quick, yeah, I'm here looking for my grandson's basketball game, or they're going to stumble on their words and kind of fumble around trying to find because they shouldn't be, in that area. So by having that signage, you're going to invite those conversations that are easy too with the, hey, you walk past no trespassing signs, where can I help you find where you need to be today? Um, Another part of this too is the signage that helps law enforcement if you do have another situation. Like if you have a person that just says, no, I don't want to leave. I'm good right where I'm at. I'm fine right here. Well, when law enforcement comes out, they can say, hey, look, they've got no trespassing signs. They're asking you to leave. So you got one or two choices to make now. You can either leave or you can leave with us. So that signage helps with creating those barriers, creating that signage so that people just know and they follow it and they'll naturally probably act to it. Directives. So directives are a very clear and easy thing too if you do them right. By making your directive very clear, it will help reduce the need to request a student, a parent, or a community member to correct an unwanted behavior, because that's what we don't want to have to address an uncomfortable thing. We don't want to have that unfun conversation with a parent or community member. Like, we want everything to be harmony, move very smoothly together. So when you're looking at, directives and you're thinking like, what kind of directives do we want to use? Right now is a good time, if you guys don't mind, just throw 1 word, 2 words into the chat and just an example of a directive that would help make it clear and obvious for someone should or should not be in the chat. So just throw those 1 or 2 things in the chat. That can be fencing around the perimeter of the property. That could be using no parking signs. That could be using signage to direct people to the front of the building. Whatever that is, there's no wrong answer. So take a couple minutes there, throw in a couple in the chat. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to bring up my example, which someone else might steal from me right now, which is how about clear information in the bus loop? My experience of working at schools, there's 2 times of the day that I noticed it was total chaos. It was arriving and departing school. That's when it's just a busy, hectic time. It looks like a beehive that's very busy. The bus loop can be a very dangerous and busy place, especially for younger students. This is where it becomes really important to throw those signs in there about hey, no skateboarding, no bike riding in this area. That way everyone can walk clearly and safely and no one's jumping their bikes off the curb in front of a bus or a vehicle. If parents are using the bus loop, make sure you go out there and talk to them. Hey, I'm sorry to disturb you today. Do you mind actually moving your car out of this area? And then tell them the why. People always want to know why they have to do something. So, and from the why, you tell them, well, this is all about safety for our students today. And if you can use the parent pickup line, that would really help keep our students safe. Most people can't argue when you use the word safety. If they do, they're probably most likely just looking to argue with you anyways. But always using that word safety, throwing it out there and let them know, like, this is the purpose. This is about safety, keeping our students, our staff, our community members safe in this area. Okay. Central access control. One of those ones where it sounds really fancy, and I'm like, wow, when I was first doing the central access control, like, and it sounds like something out of the crow's nest in a prison. But this is all about your signage here, also about if the goals of your CPTED is gain compliance at the lowest level, which is it is, right? We want everything at the lowest level. With CPTED at the lowest level is that visual compliance. So what's visual compliance for our people using the school? This is a person sees a well-marked area with a clearly marked signage and has good environmental design around that. This will naturally help with a natural flow of traffic to the entryway of the school, which is where we want them to go, right? If they're coming to the school, we want them to come through the entryway of the school. Want to make sure we get them checked in correctly and everything. Or what about this one? What about entering a designated area of an after school event? That's one of those ones that made me stop and think a little bit because, hey, 4 o'clock hit, school's over, right? Nope, I was wrong. School goes on pretty much 24/7. But this is that, area where, the after school events. So that's going to be your sporting events, maybe, like a wrestling tournament that's all day, or maybe it's a battle of the books being hosted by your school that week. A lot of different things, right? That presents all these after school activities. Well, by doing that, by having that, and knowing that, hey, I need a plan not only for my entryway to the school, but what about my after school thing? How do I let them know? Well, one of the greatest tools I've ever found to work is sandwich boards. So I can think of a school that where to access their gym for basketball games, you actually go to the south facing side of the building and enter through gates, and it's kind of dark, kind of hard to tell it's there sometimes. But with these sandwich boards out, I can put them out by the street and strategically place them out so that I can get a flow of traffic where I want them to go, get them to park in there I need them to park, and then nice, easy signage that shows them how to get to the entrance of that gym or maybe the auditorium, whatever that is. And again, if you have this stuff out and you have it well marked, when somebody's in that no-go area, it makes it a lot easier to ask them the what you doing, why you here, how can I help you, and get them to talking to you so you can kind of figure out from there, is this a good thing or a bad thing right now? Most time people just need a slight little redirect because it's easy to get lost. But sandwich boards are a great tool when you're talking about central access control. How about territorial reinforcement? So in CPTED, you can see the two pictures here, the one on the left and on the right. In CPTED, this is all about the territorial reinforcement here, which you can look at the picture on the left. Yeah, like that's nice shrubage, there's a lot there and stuff, but man, I don't have a very good line of sight. I can't see those windows very well, which means they can't see me very well. Obviously there's a lot of overgrowth thing here, is that a path or not? I can't really tell. That light is pretty low for heavy vegetation around there like that. So that light can only cast so far. I don't know where I'm at here when I'm looking at this picture either. I don't know if I'm going in the right direction or not or anything. So if you look at the picture on the right, though, this is a picture of a park. See how well maintained and low level their flowers are. The trees are trimmed up, looking nice. The pathway is very well marked. I know where this path is, and there's lights staggered out along those paths that are going to light that path up for me. And then over by the side there, you can see a garbage can and signs. There's that signage again. It's telling you, hey, no overnight camping. Dog on leash in this area. Here's a garbage can to throw your garbage away. Make sure you throw a lot of garbage cans around your guys' property. Also, that always helps a lot. But so you can see good design versus design that really restricts your ability to practice that safety element that you're really looking for your students. Social management. This is one of those slides. Actually, this is another one that taught me a lot when I was doing this that I just didn't really put together. I didn't ever think about this. But social management in CPTED is actually a really important one that works really, really well. It refers to the strategy of designing environments and programming activities that encourage legitimate use of this public and semi-public areas of your schools. So what's the goal here? The goal is to attract people to these areas. So how can I attract people to these areas to create that natural event? And so you guys are seeing how these are all bonding together, right? Like each slide carries together and is connected together. But you can create this natural surveillance and reducing opportunities for unwanted behavior by simply just putting out some picnic benches. If you have a good big grassy area in the front of your school, 3 or 4 picnic benches are great. It's great for the students, it's great for the staff. It's also great for your community members, especially on those after school events where like you have an all-day wrestling tournament or something like that. That's giving people the area to go use. And to use it the way you need it used, which is, hey, come sit here and enjoy a lunch or a meal or whatever, and using the park benches here, and then putting trash cans real close to them so their garbage gets in there. And so when people are coming by and seeing your community out there using these picnic benches, either during the school hours or after school hours, again, you're sending that message of, and this is the message that's always constantly sent when you're practicing CPTED is, hey, this place is well cared for. This place is used, and it's well designed. We're gonna know if something's going on here that shouldn't be going on, and that's what you really want people to think is just nope, too hard. I'm gonna keep on moving. By fostering a regular positive activity, spaces become more vibrant. They're more well used, and they're just inherently safer for people to use, and that's what everybody wants, right? They want a safe place to use. So funny enough, I found it very interesting that what a great tool picnic benches actually can be and how it encourages people to use it and to actually throw their garbage away when you have a trash can close by. Okay, the last slide here in the first generation is maintenance. This is an important one because you can do all the work, you can get everything planted, you can make it look all beautiful, but if you don't maintain it afterwards, it's going to be short-lived. So on this part here, this is more about, what do you need to do with the maintenance. Okay, so this one here, you can see he's trimming bushes. If you notice, those bushes are all about 2 feet in height at max. Really, you want about 2 feet in height, and that's going to help with keeping the property looking nice and well cared for. But it also, more importantly, allows for unobstructed views and limited hiding spaces for people. When planting small bushes, here's a fun one too. I learned a lot on this one too, is about planting bushes with thorns. So barberry, native Oregon grape, holly bushes, all those things that have thorny limbs or leaves work really well. So in this case, if you put barberry around the base of a tree, you're probably not going to get very many people climbing your tree. And the same goes for fences. If you have any issues with people climbing fences, a great thing you can do is plant these thorny bushes about 2 feet from the base of the fence. And again, it's just funny how people are like, yeah, no, never mind. Me personally, I'm one of them. I'd walk up there and see thorny bushes. I have no interest in climbing through a thorny bush at all. Not a problem. I'm going the other way. So thorny bushes work really, really well when you really want to keep people out of an area and you're using that natural environment. So it doesn't have that penitentiary look. It has a park look. Um, so your trees, how about your trees around the property also? We want to keep those trimmed up 6 feet from the ground up, okay? So if you have plants close by 2 feet, you got your trees trimmed up 6 feet, that should give you a very good window line of sight. That's what you want. You want that line of sight so you can see way out there as far as you can. And this is going to keep that line of sight, and it's going to really limit hiding spots again for people stashing stuff or just hiding there and hanging out because they're skipping school or they don't want to be there right now. Also, when you are maintaining your trees, this is like your deciduous trees or your conifers, more your conifers than anything else. But you want to keep the crown of your trees about 10 feet, and that's for fire mitigation. Okay, so you want about 10 foot of crown clearance on your trees in the area. That's also going to help with getting insurance and reducing insurance costs for you. If you also, one of these important things is good, well-maintained lighting, right? The more that area is lit up, the nicer it looks, but also doesn't allow people to hide in the dark, right? You get to see what's going on. So you want that good, well-maintained lighting, which means replace those light bulbs, update them to what you need to update them to. And that sends that message that, again, the message that we just keep sending out. This property is well cared for, is regularly maintained, and it's occupied. So don't bother, just keep on moving. And most likely they will. Okay, that moves us into the second generation of CPTED. So from this, the first is much more the physical part of the design. This part is more about the social part of the design. So we're going to go through these today, and we're going to visit social cohesion. We're going to do the connectivity. We're going to visit threshold capacity. We're going to end up with community culture. And having these all work together is going to help create a more holistic approach to the safety aspect of it. So this is the, we got the physicals, and now we're getting the how does this help our kids in the classroom and the staff members that are involved in our community members. So our first one, the social cohesion, um, in your school, the social cohesion is a positive environment, right? It's where students just feel included and they have a positive relationship with other students. That's a win right there, right? When your students are having positive relationships with each other and their staff members, things are going well. It's characterized by a sense of belonging, a group, a solidarity, and a positive social interaction, which just makes a very pleasant place to be. What are the benefits of social cohesion in schools? It can, the benefits you'll see, like a lot of times there's like these three things. Well, this one, it's academic performance, community ties, and it reduces the social inequalities. So there's three benefits right there of the social cohesion part of it. Indicators of achieving that social cohesion in school, so like, hey, this needle's moving, it's working, is you're going to see lower levels of problems with higher levels of trust and cooperation from your students and staff members. So chances are you'll see like the graffiti go down, you'll see any like broken windows or anything like that go down. You'll see all that stuff reduce greatly, especially when the kids feel like they have part buy-in also, they have their investment into this, including your community members areas. And we're going to go more into that. So that brings us to the connectivity. All right. So this is another one. This is a slide I really enjoyed. I learned a lot from too. I never would have really put this one together about how do we create connectivity with our community members, our stakeholders. How do we get these guys involved with us too? So we're all working on the same page and we're all moving the goal, because we don't want to just huddle everything up and say it's ours only and not let anybody else be involved. We want to get people involved to help us. So that connectivity, so it's community by promoting communication with its businesses and organizations. So how can we promote more communications? Well, think of activities you can host at your school. So you can involve local businesses and community members in safety and event planning. So if you have any safety stuff, you can bring them in, help make those plans or a planned event. I like the building partnership, with local law enforcement and community organizations, getting them involved, getting them to see that building, getting them to know that building, be familiar with that building. But here's my favorite one for getting your community members and your students together to start bridging that relationship. And that's hosting a career day for your students using local community members and business owners. I like to think of like, okay, let's say there's a little mini market just down the street from a school here and you have an open campus for lunch. And the kids like to go down there and purchase stuff. Well, by having that store owner in there participating with the students, doing like a business, a career day, he's building relationships with those students. Those students are less likely to victimize his building business also, but he's going to speak very highly of the school and the students, which always helps, right? So getting this connectivity with your community partners and bringing them in and have them help assist and get that buy-in from both the students and the members, it connects the schools to its communities, and that's what we really want, is to connect these together. So threshold capacity, another one that taught me a lot. My experience before this would have been keep everybody off the school property, get them out, keep everybody away, close everything down, lock it up tight. Don't let anybody use this area. That's how you protect everything. Well, doing this study and researching it, I found, again, I was wrong on this one. There's actually, and reading about it, it's like, this makes a lot of sense. But by allowing your community members to use the outdoor areas outside of that normal routine school activities, you're helping create a buy-in mentality with your community partners. So for example, I have a soccer field that's out in the front of the school or something. It's with a well used, or maybe it's in the back of the school where people don't really go, but it's good to have people back there too. So maybe I reach out to our yoga class instructor, a house of worship, sports clubs like Little League or something, and you come up with a plan for them to use those areas, and they help kind of police the area and clean it up and stuff. But you're also getting that additional surveillance, because when they see something, they're going to say something, because they also don't want to lose that privilege. I always thought like a yoga instructor doing outdoor yoga during the summertime of school when schools aren't really being used is a great time to be using that. And people saying, wow, look at that place is always being used. And if you exercise this and make it work, it's going to help reduce and possibly even eliminate the unwanted activity. As they see a large community group using the area, that person with that unwanted intentions will usually just stroll on by and keep rolling. They're like, nope, I'll go to an easier day. Don't forget, people have a lot of quitting them, especially people with negative intentions. They're looking to take advantage of a situation and they're looking for the path of least resistance. So if you have these little barriers set up, most likely people with negative intentions are going to skip past you and go somewhere else that's going to be an easier target for them. So getting community members out here using your property is a real beneficial thing. It's kind of like the picnic benches, yoga classes, little league activities, sports activities afterwards. It's all things that will have your property used on a regular basis. All right, how about the community culture here? So on that, the values, the norms, the material artifacts, the attitudes and feelings, these all tie together. And you're seeing all the CPTED really, first and second generation come and lock together and work together as a plan. Um, and the community culture helps foster that sense of school pride, which, man, that's an important one. That school pride is a great one. It brings school community members together for a common purpose. So when you see community culture happen, you'll see too, like there'll be a lot of support in after school activities. There'll be a big turnout. There'll be support for the students. This the community members love to get together and do little parades or something for the students on a special week. Maybe it's for going to a state tournament or something like that. Those are all great examples how to get your community involved in it. This principle involves social activities that engage community members with the school. A strong community culture can help members feel that sense of belonging and encourage. That's what people really want. They want to feel belong. They want to feel like they belong and encourage that participation with them. Including creating that sense of identity and solidarity. The students will buy into it, the staff will buy into it, the community members will buy into it, everyone will buy into it when you're exercising it correctly. So I've gone over a lot already. I got the last slide here, and this it is like you guys are like, okay, that's great, right? You've told us all about what CPTED is, but how in the heck do I even get started on this? Where do I even get going? Well, I'm going to tell you guys with the 6 steps of CPTED. If you follow these are going to work well. And I want to remind you guys too, since we're at the end here and getting close to the end, we're here to help. We're from the state and we're here to help you guys. So, after this, when we're done, we're going to stay on a little extra time and I'll talk about that again to answer questions, help you guys out. But also this is being recorded, so you guys can always request or get a copy of this and use it as a training tool also. And that's going to bring us right into that first step, which is forming a planning team. So what are we going to do there? We want to find team collaborators. We want to collaborate with the community partners and the members of the school community. We want to bring them together to work on this planning team together. So we got to put the team together first. Next, we need to go in and identify and assess that area. So you want to take your planning team. You guys are going to take a little field trip around your school or schools. And this is an essential part of the planning process, and explore the characteristics of the school. Identify areas that need help and improvement. And make sure you mark these down very clearly, drawing maps, taking pictures, all that stuff, so you can refer back to it when you're putting it together. From there, we're going to put our team goals together. We want to provide training, and I mentioned this just a little bit before. Again, this whole PowerPoint presentation is a training, right? So you can use this recording and training. You can also reach out to one of your regional coordinators, and I'll be putting our names up there here at the end of the show. You can reach out to us, even talk to us about, hey, would you be interested in teaching this to our planning team? Or would you mind doing a Zoom meeting with us and explain more about it? We're here to help and we want to help. So, on the team goals, providing training for all the members, and then set completion dates. Make sure you set those dates for each step and have regular planned meetings for progress reports. Make sure you guys are staying up and you're moving in the right direction. Okay. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and start, making that plan. And I know it looks like a little out of order there, make the plan, submit for approval, maintenance, but you're going to make this plan and you're going to create the who, what, where, and when. So you're going to make sure clearly write out each goal in phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, etc. And when you're doing this, you're going to want to make sure that you include all your members from the team. in on this so that they're part of it and their voice is being heard and being used also in creating this plan. So you're getting ready to say, okay, it's time to submit for approval. But before I do that, I want to get back with my team on that last meeting. We're going to go through this and we're going to go from step one all the way to the very bottom step there. And before we submit this approval, because we're going to double check all our areas to make sure that we did not miss any steps or miss or need of more clarification. Because it's always harder too when you put this together, you get the budget, then you go out and you're like, uh-oh, I forgot this whole section over here, and then you got to go ask for more stuff, make more plans and all that stuff, and it gets difficult. So you really want to make sure that all your stuff is double checked, I's dotted, T's crossed before you put it in there. The last one is maintenance. And really, you want to make it, me personally, I think it'd be really good to have a maintenance member on the team if they're available. Because maintenance, they're going to make sure, that the plan is working out to what they can do also. So you'll probably need to collaborate with your district maintenance, bring them out, have them look, have them help them look for other additional resources. So some of those additional resources too, because especially if you're on a very limited budget for CPTED here is, you're looking, you're saying like, hey, it's like cleaning up sidewalks and better marking things with signage, but planting plants. From there, it's probably pretty possible that you could reach out to a community member, like a landscaping business or something, and say, hey, I've got some life skill kids, or I got a few students who got in trouble that need to pay us back for some damage somebody did, some restorative justice. Or, I've got this student that's looking for a project for a scholarship program, and get that, community member, that landscaping person to come out and maybe show these kids this is how you properly plant a plant, and this is the proper distance, and that's how much water you want to use. And then you're getting the educational piece of this too. So you can also, like your FFA class is a good one for this. So you can find ways to keep it very budget constraint to keep it together. Another one I'd like to encourage you guys not to do, because it's so easy to do. It's pretty affordable and it actually looks really nice, but try not to use rocks as part of your landscaping, unless it's like a large boulder or something like that that can't be easily picked up and moved or thrown. Rocks just have a way of finding their way through windows. They just do. So even if you're going out there and you got, an elementary school or something, and they paint a bunch of nice looking rocks, and they put it out there to make it look nice, those could turn into objects, be thrown through windows, create damage, which is unfunded expenses for school districts, is have to replace those things. So I really encourage you guys try to stay away from the gravel and use more like bark chips, things like that. Okay, so going into our very last slide. This is us. This is who we are. This is our team. So I've got, Bianca from the Southwest region. We have Melissa from the Eastern region, Sarah from the Northwest, and myself here from the Central. Yep, and there's Melissa up there waving to people, letting you know who she is. So if you're in that East region and you're like, yeah, I've got more questions, there's all our contact information right there for you. And again, you guys, we're going to stay on after this for a little bit to help ask questions or anything at all that you guys need. But here's all our information. I want to thank you guys again for taking the time to, sit through this and listen to me. I really enjoyed doing this with you. And again, if you guys need anything, please reach out. We're here to help.